G'day guys, welcome back to Riding the Pine here, and our show is proudly brought to you by our sponsors Game Day, Bathroom Brilliance, JPM Hardwood, Ruger Extractors, and also Alpha Exteriors. Now, we're at the end of our tournament here at the Men's Country Championships, and we've seen Newcastle A take out the A Division by a score of 7-0, and in the B Division, we've seen the Central Coast Teal take out with the 6-3 win. Now, I thought we're going to wrap the show up and bring a old face back to baseball. So firstly, Shane, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having us.
So you've been away from baseball for quite a while, sir.
Oh, yeah, just been working with a couple of young kids the last 3 or 4 years, but yeah, missing it a little.
So obviously you are here with the Newcastle A Division as an assistant coach this weekend.
Yep.
So firstly, congrats on your win.
Thank you.
That was a pretty executed weekend, would you say?
Yeah, we're pretty perfect. It's probably the best defensive team in the 40-odd years I've been running around. They were outstanding defensively, and we knew that beforehand. Pitchers did. We had 6 quality starting pitchers that all knew how to play the game, and they executed their jobs. And yesterday afternoon played a huge part in winning the defence against Illawarra when they overmatched us with young Lockie and holding them under 6 runs was obviously played a huge part in them having to use Atho today and us getting a little bit of a free ride through. So it's you play hard early, you get the results late.
Well, that's right. So obviously the guys at home might not know. So obviously in a small tournament, obviously we're going to have sometimes at times same win-loss records. We're going to have some tiebreaker rules. So obviously here at this weekend, it was if your teams were tied on a win-loss factor, it would then go into defensive runs allowed. So going into your last night match, you had a plus of 6 runs to play with, and you only let in 4. So that's a great defensive effort. Obviously, the bats didn't kind of get as hot as today in the final, but sometimes you just got to pick your moments when you shine at a tournament. And you guys really managed the roster pitching because pitching limits.
Yep.
Even as adults, do you find it sometimes hard within a tournament frame to sort of you want to pitch someone more and more, but you capped out?
Yeah, you got to respect people. Even today, Cal was lucky enough to be able to sit on his butt until the day, and in the end, that was probably about his limit. He's a 37-year-old man now, but he's a wily old veteran, and he did a great job. Yeah, look, Nathan did an outstanding job managing this team, and but again, we wouldn't have been there if the pitchers wouldn't have done their jobs through enough strikes, and especially the outfield. The outfield must have saved us 8 or 9 runs through this weekend.
Yeah.
They were outstanding.
I mean, obviously the ball was flying around the park. The talk was a little bit about the baseballs used. They were flying out, and it's obviously big parks here at Blacktown. But yeah, you've got some good young outfielders out there, so they're tracking the balls well. And yeah, I was really impressed with the defense side of thing, and that's often between a defense and a good pitching. You just need enough hitting just to get you over the line, because we're not there to try and mercy everyone. And just 3 days, it was like 6 or 7 games. That's a lot compared to back home in our seasons, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. It certainly is. And over such a short period of time, it's very difficult to manage. And and then you lose a game and everything gets thrown out, and you start playing catch ups and trying to take shortcuts and people. I think when I first started, you just tried to have your whole rotation done for the whole weekend. Now you can manage every game. You see the opposition every year. Someone comes up with a few surprise players that you didn't expect, and they move 2 or 3 spots up the ladder.
So I guess obviously the first question is what brought you back from your little hiatus, or what was it? Just a hiatus from coaching in the Newcastle space, or?
Look, I work with some kids, but it was more. As you know, we're a small sport, and if you don't walk away for a couple of years and do some other things, then you think I'm going to lighten it up. And when you lighten it up one area, you get hit to do something somewhere else. And I just need a pretty well clean break. Coaching National League is a big ask. It was a full-time, it's a full-time job,
Yeah.
and living in Newcastle, people probably don't understand the hours you got to get into this park, 3 or 4 times a week and stuff like that. So it was, I was a bit worn out by the end. Would I have gone again and whatever? Of course you would have,
Of
but
course.
at the end of it, sometimes you do need a break, and now I've started missing it started missing a lot more last year, and I'll just stick my head around, and I've picked up a couple of little jobs, and yeah, enjoying it,
I
loving it.
mean, because I've mentioned to other people who've been on the show, sometimes obviously our baseball space, especially in the regional parts, very volunteer heavy, and it can be easily burnt out by trying to cover so many gaps, so many roles, and please everyone, and that's just almost impossible.
Yep, that's right.
So
Yeah,
taking a break, taking time to reappreciate the sport, it reinvigorates you a little bit, right? You
yeah.
come back. So, are you outside of this tournament now? Will we see you still? Are you back to coaching in Newcastle, or is it just for the kids, sort of like a training clinics?
Yeah, I'm at White Sox at the moment, and I'm sort of giving them a 3-year commitment if they want me that long, and because it's a bit of a grassroots, so we've got to build it from the grassroots up a little bit,
Yep.
and but in 1 year, I think we've got a program already that's as good as anywhere in Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll get people asking questions, and maybe we get some of the fringe players that pick up, and we set a good product, and people tend to appreciate it. And then whatever comes up, and there's this I'd like to see country seniors start to get hot again, and I know country are now starting to look at that. So
Yep.
if they want me to be a part of that, I'll stick my hand up and put my head in.
It's
Yeah,
hard not to put your hand up for everything, right?
yeah.
Also, so you kind of, I want you to sort of, I don't want to see you burn out again, right? So I want you to kind of take it easy, right? Now, firstly, we need to congratulate you because the audience may not at home, but this year, bit of a little thing happened. You may have got into a Hall of Fame of sorts.
Oh
Little,
yeah.
little baseball New South Wales acknowledgement there for you.
Yeah, and that was nice. I've never been big for individual awards, and that one was probably means you've been pretty good at what you've done,
Or you've
and
been around long enough, right?
yeah, probably not with the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
So you've been around for a while, but it's probably recognition that you've done it all right too, and that's good. And some of the names you're standing at, and I've got old mate Lionel Harris, who's a good mate of mine, and probably the best hitter I've seen come out of Australia.
yeah,
Probably Dingo's the only other one. Um, it it meant a lot for him to be there presenting to me,
for
and
sure it was.
that was
Yeah.
good. And it was a great, and a lot of players I've coached and been around are in it already, and a few Olympians and stuff like that, and big leaguers.
So who else was there on the night for entrance into the Hall of Fame as well? I think it was a Craig Anderson was there.
No, Ando is actually he's just been inducted into the Australian
Oh right,
Baseball Hall of
right.
Fame, so that's a real
That's
big
next level.
that's a real
Yeah.
big gong. But out of Newcastle, we actually had 3 guys, and we've all had a lot to do with each other. Ian Anderson, who pitched for Australia and was a great player, and Paul Hyam, who umpired at two World Classics and stuff like that.
Yep.
So he's reached the elite there. Um, but yeah, look, a number of players, and it just gets. I think it was the second induction. I wasn't in the inaugural one. I was in
Mm-hmm.
the second year. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And obviously that's on the back of you coaching at the Claxton Shield for 14 years.
Between Claxton Shield and National League, 14 years, managing, yeah.
And so do you kind of miss like that level, or that would be a bit too much at the moment?
No, you always think you always think that, but yeah, obviously it's not going to happen. I'm 63 years old, so those days have flown by now. But yeah, do I love the strategy and the thinking and the preparation, and that's the thing I've always prided myself in, is the preparation for that sort
Yeah.
of stuff, and it encompasses you. And when you're semi-retired now, and drop into work 1 day a week or something,
Yeah.
then you just get so passionate about it. And I'm even fine with White Sox. I must be spending 50 hours plus a week there.
There's nothing wrong with being committed to your team, as long you actually your White Sox team actually been doing very well this year. I won't lie. But it's definitely when your team's winning, it's easy to jump on board and get back. Really loving it. If they're not having a so-so season, like look, if I don't see every game, it's okay.
and that's probably where it's more important to lift it, and that's one thing I like to think that we've done pretty well. When you're at your lowest point, it means
Yeah.
that's when you've got to work
Well,
hardest.
that's it. I mean, and not just the players and management. Sort of the business side.
Yeah.
You see it all going on. Now, coming back a little bit to, I guess, the Collection Shield now, the ABL. How does have you been following it a bit?
Yeah, I've been out of it 3 years, I think, but I still follow some, a lot of the players, and naturally, the last year I did, there's two guys playing in the KBO now, and naturally Trav come out of that team, and he's playing in the big leagues, as is Mets guy, who was a real interesting story if you ever got a chance to tell it, named Carlos Cortez, and he's playing in the big leagues with Oakland, and he's a left-hand thrower in the outfield, and they decided he wouldn't make it, so they in the outfield, so they taught him how to throw right-handed, and he come out here and played second base, and we got to Christmas, and I said, he's not going to make a second baseman, and so he went back to playing outfield, and they traded him. He's now hitting $3 or something in the big leagues with Oakland, so it's a good story.
I think that's a good part, right? That obviously we as sort of baseballers, we're battlers, so you may not get hot and make the job out of your original vision, but if you go as a position, you can fall back to a pitcher, or because sometimes if you go over as a position, you get to try and play defense. Whereas if you're just going over as a pitcher, even though there's more spots, you're not likely to be like, we need to turn this into a hitter. It's more the reversal, right?
Yeah, look, I think it's always been, they try to start you as a position guy, and most of the big league clubs will start you there because they think by the time you've failed as a pitcher, you've missed 500,000 at bats in minor leagues, and it's just no catching up. But we had an interesting one in the 90s, and you might remember a guy named Ron Mayhay. And
I do, because we were chatting about this. That's right.
Yeah.
Because he played for Texas, right?
Yeah.
But no, but I want to hear this story again. Go on, roll it for me.
He was with Boston, and we had a guy named Sam Grant playing for the Hunter, and he was on second base at Carrara, and Paul gets hit out to right field, and it's deep. It's on the warning track, so come on through. And then I just had eyes like saucers. This guy's just picked the ball up and thrown it, and he's thrown a seed to third base, and Sam didn't even slide. It was just surreal. It was just like, what am I seeing, And of course he couldn't hit a lick, so they stuck him on the hill at the end of that season, I think, Boston, when he went back home, and I don't know how many saves he had in the big leagues, but he
did his job. He had a very long-lasting career, and that just sort of speaks volume that don't give up. There's always potentially a second out or a second option for you to kind of be successful.
Yeah, right? For sure.
So a little bit touching back on that, what do you think of the ABL compared to the Claxton Shield from back in your day? Is it better? I know, is it hard to compare? Is it
look, when I guess the fact that you've got more professional players is a big difference. We all have our opinion.
I will say, because while I sat in the admin building, I was doing today per se, there's a nice framed New South Wales Patriots jersey from 2004.
Yeah,
and it has some very star-studded Australian players, from the Gary Whites to the Olchens, the Ryan Rolling Smiths, the Grant Balfours, right?
I haven't seen that.
Jesus, that's where did that team, this is a little bit before my time. Yeah. So that was your era, wasn't it?
That was very proud. I think it was 04, 05 or 05, 06, and we hadn't won it for a heap of time. And we won it. We had a great. The funniest thing is we ran out of pitch. Well, we didn't run out of pitch, and our pitchers struggled that first one, and we were down, and we finished up bringing a right fielder who was a Blue Jays guy named Jared Mangione, and
Jared was out of Cronulla.
Yeah, well, he'd just been released, and he finished up getting us about 4 innings in the middle of that game, and we come back and beat. I think we beat the Vicks the first year. But yeah, that was a star-studded team. But you're talking about your pride and what you do. They were too. It was just great to be part of them. And they were called the Baby Blues years and years and years before, and it was just probably getting towards the end of their era. And then sadly, we the next 3 of the next 4 years, we played in the Shield final and got beat. But we'd resurrected those team as they had all retired. We brought these young absolute gun kids in, and they stepped up great. And then we hit the new National League, and New South Wales obviously couldn't afford to keep them. And
Yeah.
I think Mitch Denning went to Adelaide, and Williams went to Adelaide, and Timmy Atherton we um, lost to Brisbane, and
Mm. So is it a
there was
trend? Like, I
others,
mean,
and
I hate.
Candalis,
I mean, I hate seeing it. Like, this is our Sydney sort of club, our New South Wales kind of region, and like we have rich talent, and I'll be honest, I hate seeing them go playing
uh,
for other states, man. Like,
it's devastating, when you see, and we've done so much hard work. At that time to bring those kids through and give them every opportunity. It was, I was out of it after that, when they went back to National League. But it was a little bit, it was heartbreaking because we deserved better,
yeah,
And look at Timmy, he's an ornament to the game. What he done out, just his presence there today was just great.
absolutely, yeah. It was great filming. So obviously, if you guys haven't seen it, so Timmy pitched against the Central Coast to get into the grand final against Newcastle. 7 innings, 15 strikeouts,
Yeah,
like maybe one or two hits or four hits or something, but just pristine, just
yeah,
prime Atherton, right? And
yeah,
I
yeah.
just, I don't want to see that guy retire.
And smart. I don't want to either. It was actually him and Cal today. Cal not obviously hasn't played the level as he, but just their smarts.
Yeah,
It was just nice to watch and all day. And look, it's been a good weekend watching some of the young talent come through. And we had a kid 27 catching me on the plate today, and I'll say now there's no catcher in New South Wales better than Dylan Smider right now. And I just hope that somehow he gets a bit of recognition down here, and
yeah.
someone talks to him, because he's an outstanding catcher. The play he made against North, if you watched Far North Coast last night, it was big league. Yeah,
So that was the cup play at home you were telling me
yeah,
about earlier.
yeah.
So it was obviously a first and third situation.
They might have been. They might have tried to backdoor a guy I think they tried to backdoor a guy from memory on loaded bases, and he's just hosed it. And the runner on third went straight away, and he just hosed it, and Bramble picked it up and threw the guy on home plate. It was.
That's one of those. That sounds like one of those coaches' dreams of the one percenters.
Uh, yeah, and they practice it. They work
Yeah,
at it. Their club, they were Mayfield Boomerangs boys, and has certainly come off last night, and was a huge play in the context of the game. And he's just been perfect all weekend behind the plate. It's been it's been the highlight for me just watching him
well,
catch.
look how happy you
Yeah,
are talking
yeah,
about these
uh,
players, because
uh,
that's the thing. Like, when you see young core players in regional places come through, it brings a different level of happiness to the
uh.
coaches. Like, it's just respect for your region, and obviously just to wear your local colours, and it's just really great to hear, see, watch all of it, right?
Oh, well, we're fighting to get 14-year-olds or 15-year-olds playing grade, And
Mm.
we a kid at my club who's we had to fight tooth and nail to get him allowed to play, and you're going, you know, he's more chance of getting hurt playing lower grades. And then we've got a 14-year-old kid plays today for Wollongong, and he was all over the plate. He knew the plate. He was controlling the
I think
bat
it was
end,
the
and
Oscar,
yeah,
someone.
Lazard, is it
Oh, Lazard, yeah,
something like that? Switch hitter at 14 or something, and
it's
it was
crazy.
just great to watch.
That's
Uh,
perfect. Well, let's take it back a step, because obviously me and you will be touching base in the next few weeks because we're hosting the City versus Country match.
yeah, well, I think again, our kids who come back from college and our guys who have been good ball players who have never reached the higher level, there hasn't been much for them in the last, there might have
No,
been one or two trips in the last 15 years.
yeah,
And I'm hoping and I'm thinking, I'm not on the country board, but it looks like they're trying to resurrect some stuff. And,
yeah,
and I think Adam Dobb come up with a good idea to get it started. So let's get it started and a few people around, and hopefully we can build on it.
yeah,
I think it's important. I really think it's important. You just look at those guys playing there today. The majority of them aren't going to play National League, and they're not going to play pro, and they're 20, 21,
mm.
22 years of age, and you go, oh, what are they going to do in the next couple of
Well,
years?
that's the thing. Like, they need the reps in some format to either sort of get their eligibility for ABL, maybe for colleges, for touring internationally if country get back on board on the thing. And we just don't want that sort of people to drift away because we have nothing for them outside of a standard season work, right?
How many kids come back from college, and they don't fall in love over there and we lose them forever?
Yeah.
Come back and then they just don't play anymore because there isn't anything for them, and we've got a kid in our team who luckily is passionate enough, Chase Garn, and he's done his college bit and done his stuff, um, and the energy he brings to the baseball part. But it'd be nice to see, and I think and hopefully he might even get a bit more recognition at the moment because he's not too old. But
Yeah.
But there's a million like him that we need to have something for. I
Definitely.
think. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I don't want to keep you too long because obviously, pretty much we're the only ones left here, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
it was quiet because it was chaos. There was a lot going on here this weekend, and obviously this morning the fog that threw a little bit
of a spanner. Exactly. Yeah.
But hey, look, guys. Firstly, today's show obviously brought to you by Game Day, Bathroom Brilliance, JPM Hardwood, and Alpha Exteriors. But Shane, thanks for coming on the show.
Pleasure, mate.
Yeah,
pleasure.
Yeah,
Doing a great job.
Thank you. And obviously, we're trying to just raise the standard of this gap in the media and get that exposure for your kids and the kids to come through, right? Because I had a lot of good feedback. People are now able to watch more at home and be like, I now recognize names, faces, locations, and that's what I'm just all about. So.
And everyone does their bit. We're going right.
That's it.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, stay tuned for the next sort of episodes. Maybe there'll probably be a little bit of break until we have our city country match at the end of August, and then we'll sort of see what we are. We do have the juniors country chance, not till October long weekend, but yeah. So sit tight and stay to the channel, and I'll see you next time.